Hey there, welcome to the Mental Perk podcast. I'm Carla Hutcherson, licensed professional counselor.
And I'm Brandy Mock, entrepreneur, author, and community leader. And we're here to talk about
real people, real issues, and real talk. Well, welcome back. We have today Dr. Suzanne Castle, and she is an award-winning keynote speaker, a dynamic business strategist, and a transformational coach. She is known for helping ambitious women break through barriers to build extraordinary lives and businesses. She recently was honored with a Bronze Stevie Award as a Women's Business Coach of the Year and has been recognized among the top 10 most inspirational women in Tarrant County. We are so excited to have her on our show and share her undeniable passion for her work, as well as her relentless energy and sparkle. Dr. Castle, welcome to our show.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you both so much. This is going to be so fun.
I can't wait. This
conversation.
You know,
the energy is like,
we
woo!
do. We love, you know,
oh, we do too.
Highlighting the power of women and all the things that we do. And we went into I've talked to you and we've talked about all the things that you've done in your past, which is just incredible. And so I want to get into that and kind of start with, you said from a very young age, you were in the entertainment business.
Yes, and I think I came out of the womb saying I'm going to be on Broadway, and my poor parents. You know, I was the child that threw performances in our living room for any audience of any size. You know, anything I could do, sing, dance, act, did it all. And my parents were fantastic about making sure that I had those opportunities. And from about the year 8, I was in a little acting company and began to be on the stage and knew that was just for me. That's what I was born to do, was have a spotlight. So,
Well, that journey is so hard and so difficult. Yeah. And I mean, it takes so much. Tell us a little bit about what it takes to be a professional entertainer.
I would say, you hear all the trite things about thick skin. You have to be willing to put yourself out there. And yes, all of those things are true. But I think more than that, you have to have your own internal sparkle. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about that, because if you don't believe in yourself and what makes you shine, then every little time someone tells you no, and being in entertainment means someone is always telling you no. Either you're not tall enough, or you're not short enough, or your hair's the wrong color. And for me, I wouldn't dye my hair, and your eye color's wrong. I mean, there's so many things that you can't control that have nothing to do with whether or not you were the right actor or singer or dancer for the job. And so I think pretty quickly you have to be centered in, this is who I am, and either that's for me or it's not for me. And I had to learn that pretty early on so that I just wouldn't be completely dismantled with every single no.
Well, and you say that because you see a lot of people, though, that go into this and they just conform to whatever the industry wants them to do.
Yep.
So for you to be able to do that is a huge deal, because I think it's important for a lot of people to hear that, because a lot of people don't realize that you're the one that's running the show.
That's right.
I mean, they need your talent, right? So, I mean, I know that they may pass by you, but I think you having that personality makes it even better for other people to hear, you know?
I was, as a young adult, I had an opportunity for a job, and they had decided I was the last one to audition and interview for the position, and they had already decided on someone else. I didn't know that at the time. And I went in, and in the middle of my interview, they said, you're doing a great job. And, they were looking at my performing reel and all of that. And they said, but we've already decided someone else. And I just sat there for a minute, and I said, well, I want you to finish the audition. And they did, and at the end, I said, you're not going to find anybody better than me. You might find somebody more talented than me, but I'm going to be magnetic on your stage. And I got the job.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
So that's what I mean about just kind of being tenacious about that own internal light. And whether or not I got that didn't matter, but I wanted them to know that this is where I stand, this is where I am. And I credit my parents for that, because I had a good, strong family, and so it made it easier.
Well, how do you keep that confidence with the amount of rejection that you probably hear in the industry?
There's a lot of rejection, right? Not just in the entertainment industry. I think being female is hard. Being female means you're dealing with rejection, I think, all the time. And I don't know. What I wouldn't say is that I necessarily deal with it well. I deal with it, because let's face it.
No one likes to be rejected.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I talk often in my keynotes about Red Rover. Do you remember? Did you all play Red Rover?
Red Rover, let so-and-so come over.
I hated that game because I was skinny and scrawny and little arms, and I was always the last one to be picked and the first one to be run through. you know, and I would leave with bruises up and down my arms,
Oh,
you know, and
gosh.
but I wanted to be liked and I wanted to be wanted, and I've carried that through. I mean, I definitely think that's a thing for me, is I need to be included. And so rejection hurts. And one of the things that I'm trying to teach my clients, women and other people, is it's okay to throw a pity party. But if you're going to throw a pity party, it needs to be fabulous, right? Buckets of ice cream, all the sad music.
I love it.
It's a defined time.
I'm a
in the
believer.
world,
I'm
you
a
know?
believer in that, for sure.
I am too.
Like, give it all the attention and all the energy that
Yes.
you can, and then go,
Now I'm done. Yes, get it
Next
out.
thing.
You know,
What's
it's funny
next?
you say that, because I remember a long time ago when I kind of went through a little valley, and I remember my girlfriend saying, you need to go into your room and you need to scream into that pillow
Yep.
as loud as you can and get it out. And I thought, that is just, I mean, come on.
Right.
And girl, I did it and it worked.
It
I
does
mean,
work.
it was like a miracle.
because you gave it all your energy.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
that energy it
Yeah.
has to go somewhere. And
Yeah.
I just don't want it imprinting in myself.
No.
And just making me feel less than. I'm done with that.
Yeah.
You know?
I love
100%. I'm all about feeling the emotion and being at one with that emotion, and then you can move past
Yeah.
it
That's
because
right.
you've already let it out. You've already given it all the energy that it needs, and so then you have room to keep going. And so I think it's great. I think it's a great idea to have that pity party. I love that.
right.
It's amazing. So now, how long did you stay in the entertainment industry?
Well, I mean, I wish I could say I'm still entertaining. I mean, I
well,
guess technically
yes,
as a
of
keynoter,
course.
I am. But I guess my last role, I don't know, 30s, in my 30s, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm 54. And so, around my 30s, I was in Cats, and it's hard. And I just need to do something different. And I won't say I don't miss it every single day. I still choreograph from time to time. People will ask me to, help them with an audition or something like that. And so I have my fingers dabbling in it, let's say. But I will say everything that I have done has led me to where I am now.
Of course.
And so while I miss, standing on a stage and having people stand and give applause and the curtain opening and closing, that I still have nuggets of that. And so what I think I miss is that process of that. But I don't know that I miss all the rehearsals and the lateness and, I terrible eating because you're terrified of what you look like on camera, or how, if I gain an ounce and my partner can't lift me, and, all those things that come with, being in that profession. I don't miss any of that at all.
That's a lot of, you saying that stressed me out.
I'm like, oh gosh, can I eat?
I'm not going to eat tonight.
I do love to eat too.
No,
We
but
love
it's true
to eat
though.
too.
And I think as a woman though, I love that you said that, because as a woman, we go through that our entire lives, but then it gets amplified when you're put on stage.
when
and
you're
when
in the
the
spotlight.
expectations there, they're gonna, people are gonna pick you apart.
Oh, yeah.
How'd you process all that?
Do you ever process all that?
I don't think you do.
that
That's a good question.
I think that you deal or you don't, and we see it all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Entertainment Tonight has made their not sponsored by Entertainment Tonight, but I mean, and TMZ has made that kind of
Yes.
all the train wreck, right? And you see it when people aren't dealing with it well
Yeah.
or processing well.
Yeah.
But most of the time, I don't like to see pictures of myself. I will watch this because you're both wonderful. I don't like to see myself on camera. I have a team of people that picks my pictures and says, "Oh, you looked great," and all that, because I just can't.
Okay.
Because I'm not, 101
They're doing a great
pounds
job
anymore.
No,
and
they're
I'm
doing a
not-
great
Yeah,
job.
but you're
Right?
gorgeous. You don't
You're
look your
kind.
age. No,
Thank
listen,
you.
I don't believe in lying. If I didn't think you were cute, I would just not. You'd get crickets right now. You'd hear crickets,
But
right?
you know what? What I really love about this is because I was a young mother and a young wife, and I really didn't come into my own until a little later.
Yeah.
And here we are, the three of us. Absolutely. I mean, we're living our best, and you guys are beautiful. And I'm like, life doesn't stop at
right.
54. Life is just beginning
It
in a
is.
lot
I
of
feel
ways,
that way
you know?
too.
And I just feel like a lot of women need to embrace
Yeah.
this time of their lives.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't have to be 20 something forever and 101 pounds or whatever
That's
that
right.
is.
And we ain't gonna be.
Right. And honestly, I'm glad for that. I am glad for
Yeah.
that. But I do have those moments where I'm like, "Ooh, I don't."
I do too.
And I have a wonderful Prince Charming at home who does nothing but compliment me and love on me all the time. I'm very blessed like that. But I will say it's nice. So for anybody listening, if you don't necessarily like some of those things, find a team around you
Yes.
that can just take that off of you and go, "Okay, you don't have to look at them, but we will."
Okay.
and we'll put out. Because for me, that's just been a helpful kind of stopgap measure for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to see, our audience needs to see some of your things because they're absolutely wonderful. I was watching online and just, enthralling. You do such a great job. It's just so inspirational. So whoever's picking your stuff is doing a great job.
Thank you. Hear that, team? You're doing that.
You have a job for another day.
Yeah. Totally.
Well, what brought you out of the entertainment industry into this new era of entertainment?
I fell. Literally, when I talk about my journey into being a shepreneur coach and keynote strategist, I literally fell on the stage. So my partner dropped me in a lift and did his best to cushion the fall. But I shredded most of the ligaments and tendons in my right ankle, and it meant the end of a professional dancing career just when I was really kind of hitting my stride. And I could have had surgery and maybe have come back from it, but not in the way that I wanted, or not have surgery and definitely not come back. And so neither of those are good choices. I chose not to have surgery and let my body heal on its own. And, then people say, oh, would you come and speak to our women's luncheon? And it'd be fun to say, Suzanne, who was in Cats as Bumble Arena, or whatever. Sure, no problem. I'll do that. That sounds fun. I'm not doing anything. And, did a stint in seminary trying to find myself, I think, more than anything. And what I have learned from all of that is that I'm not defined by what I thought it was going to look like. I'm defined in the choice that I make every day. And so every day I make a different choice, and sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But tomorrow's coming anyway, and I get to make a new choice if I don't like that. And so I think for me, between family tragedy and a fall, and I literally fell into my business, and what I'm trying to do is really teach women, entrepreneurs specifically, but really anyone, that what has happened to you is not you. Mm-hmm. And kind of this victim shaming that we've been in this world of kind of being in victimhood. There are real victims in the world, but just because a business opportunity fell away from you or a failed relationship, that's not necessarily victim. You can choose in that moment to stay in that story, be defined by that story, or move from the story.
It's interesting you say that, because I can't tell you how many times we've told kids when we're speaking to them, if who are you? That's the question I'll ask them. Yes. Who are you? Are you the football star? Right. Are you the captain of the cheerleading team? That's not you. So if you break your ankle or you break your leg and it changes your life, you're not defined by being that football star. Right. That's just an added part of your character, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's an experience.
But you've got to be, so for you to say what you said to the audience about, you've got to be firm in who you are inside. Right. It doesn't, all these extra things are just, that's kind of the things that make you up, right?
That's right.
And then for you to push through it, tell me about it though, because I'm kind of curious. You hurt your ankle. That was who you were, right? Yeah, that's what you were doing.
From the get-go, out of the womb.
She had to redefine herself, right?
Did you process it by having that powwow with the tears and the junk food, or
pity party?
No. I mean, definitely. I think part of my processing was actually going to seminary, and
I love that.
And everybody's like, "Why are you going to seminary?" I'm like, "Why not? I don't know. I don't know.
Something called you there.
Something needed to change. Something needed to shift, and in that process, I kind of tore down what I thought I was going to be. And I don't know that I rebuilt it in any magical way at all, but I think what I did was say, okay, now what does this mean? Yeah. And what could it mean? And every single day, I honestly start my day saying, okay, who am I today?
I love that.
Who am I going to be today? Where am I going to see opportunity? Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow's not here yet. I know that sounds trite, but it's true. So what about today? Do I need to put my attention to? And so I'm trying to teach women that, every single day, you have that magical choice to say, what gets my attention? And so many women are just living a life that's like, well, this is happening and this is happening and this is on my calendar. And that starts that overwhelm, right? And this and this and this and this and this, instead of saying, who am I in this and this and this and this? Because that will really change, I think, how you show up for yourself.
And it's funny you say that, because a lot of women, and you ask that question, how many women have said, I don't know who I am. I have no idea. Like you're a robot. You're going through the motions of life. But you're not stopping to smell the roses and enjoy it.
And go ahead.
No, and I think that goes back to what you said. We're at the age now where we're just enjoying it now.
Yeah. No, this is like, this isn't retirement age. This isn't, life is still going for us. It's just starting in a lot of ways, and in a lot of ways for Brandy and I know for you, as you're continuing, this, the speaking and all the things that you're doing with your career. So it's like, I don't feel like we have to, just because we are in our 50s, have to stop doing amazing things. And so that's what I really love to encourage women to do. I think that's awesome. You said something earlier that there's fear and failure and how you love those two things. And that's something that I always preach to my patients in my office. And fear and failure are, people they cause them to be uncomfortable, and so they don't want to face them. But those are two things that actually help us grow. So talk a little bit about that.
Well, I'd like to start with fear, because I love fear. I am trying to teach people how to put fear on their team, because when fear is on your team, it's going to show you, oh, this might be a pitfall. What do you need to do about that? Or what information do you have, or resources do you need to not fall into that pitfall? Fear doesn't necessarily mean that everything is falling apart. Fear means, let's pay attention.
Yeah.
Let's pay attention. So I want fear on my team.
Yeah.
Let's pay attention to the things that could not go the way we want them to, and mitigate the circumstances around what we can, because we can't control everything. And so I think that's the first thing that I would say. But I also am very attuned to the fact that Disney, I don't know that they still do that, but this is what they used to do. They used to pay their Imagineers to fail, meaning this. They have so many amazing ideas, and 90% of them don't come to light. So if you look at that, they're being paid for 10% or they're being paid for 90%, right? But all of those ideas are cataloged. They're kept, because sometimes it's technology, or it's a person on the team that they don't have yet. It could be a million reasons why that's not going to work, that fail. And in the world, we look at that as failure. But I look at it as, maybe things aren't ready yet. But that's not necessarily a failure. And if I tried something and it didn't work, what about it didn't work?
Yeah.
So, if you're a business person watching this, you're like, I got 100 unsubscribes. Okay, well, why? Why did you get unsubscribed? Did you send it on the wrong day? Are you sending too many emails? Were you too salesy? Are you not getting your click? I mean, there's so many reasons why something might not go right.
We do know this.
Right?
Brandy and I are experts in this.
Yes.
We need more clicks.
Please
Right?
click
Yeah, but
us.
it's true. It's very true what you're saying. I'm like, she's speaking to us.
Right? But that's the thing. But the world will say, oh, well, you failed with that email. I'm like, really? Did I? Maybe I sent it on the wrong day. Maybe I should have segmented my list.
You're talking about being like more strategic with your,
Yes.
yeah.
And so I think if you're strategic, then failure, all it's doing is teaching you, what little shift do I need to make next time? So I'm going to test that. I'm going to give it time to work, and then I'll evaluate, and if I need to change, I'll change. For me, that's what failure is kind of being in that possibility mode, that testing mode, and that realization that might not go right. Okay, well then what do I do next?
But we don't grow if we don't fail,
Yeah.
right? If we
Holding
just
on.
keep doing the same thing over and over, we're not really growing. We're just maintaining.
Correct.
So I love the idea of failure. And like I said, Brandy and I started this about 1.5 years ago, and we fail lots. But it's okay.
We are still failing, but it's okay.
But where we came from and to where we are, every day is a new growth for us. We learn something every day.
Yeah, I
And
think
so-
at first our failure kind of was frustrating. For me, it was.
Yes.
And now it's turned into, okay, like you said, how are we going to strategize this and fix it and change it? Because getting upset's not going to change it.
Nothing. It
you know?
changes nothing.
It changes nothing other than, it makes you upset,
Makes you upset, and,
stresses you out.
Right. In business anyway, your feelings don't matter. And I hate to be the truth teller, but your feelings don't matter. It's business. And
I fired plenty of people.
right.
But
I mean,
it's
like,
not
data
personal.
matters,
Yeah.
right? Metrics matter.
Yeah.
That matters.
Yes.
And so I think being able to not necessarily separate, I don't want you to think that you should live in silos or anything like that, but really say, do I need to be emotional about this, or do I need to learn from this?
I think
Because you might need to be emotional.
That's huge.
That's okay.
And we don't want to deny our emotions. We have them, but it's kind of like you said, feel them and get over it, because we can't be driven by emotions, and emotions aren't always truth, right? So
That's very right. That's right. Yeah, because emotion might mean I'm going to eat a whole pizza.
I mean, I've done it.
Right? Me too.
And it was good.
Me too. Right. So in the moment, it was good, and it filled the need. And
then I
next
felt
day,
really bad.
right, because of your emotion.
Then I had to not eat for a couple of days.
Yeah. No, but right.
It's
right.
so true.
Yes.
It's
Oh,
so true.
It is true.
100%. And we can also kind of categorize, there's fear and failure, but then there's also tragedy in our lives.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes tragedy will stop us in our tracks and keep us from doing the things we were meant to do.
Right.
And I know you've had tragedy.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Haven't we all? We talked about that a little bit before we started. Yes, tragedy. So I will say, I think that we all experience many traumas on the daily, probably, if we're really attuned who we are intersectionally and you know where we are in our parasympathetic nervous system and our external forces. We're experiencing many traumas. But I know in my family, you know, I was a backseat baby, if anybody knows what that is. I mean, you know, track star and a cheerleader and too much of something one night, and here I am. They're still married, by the way, and they're amazing. My parents are amazing.
Mom and Dad.
Yeah, thanks, Mom and Dad. But you know, so that alone, right? That's kind of tragic. Like their whole world had to change. What they thought their life was going to look like changed because of me. Right. My middle brother, David, was killed in a car accident. He was the golden child. You know, he had NASA had contacted him about being a doctor in space. He was going to medical school. Wow. Like he died in a car accident. You know, it's I have been face down on the bathroom floor more days than I can count after a really terrible failed marriage and my career being taken away from me. I mean, again, tragedy. And yet I think through all of that, the resilience sometimes it's not a choice. I want to be really careful with my language here. Sometimes it's the only way to be is to be a little more resilient here and decide what life needs to look like next. And for me, it's putting on ABBA or calling.
I love
ABBA.
Right, having a dance party. That's right. That's right there. Doing something that gets oxygen moving and then saying, now what? I can go back and lay on the bathroom floor or I can do something else. And so practicing that means I have to practice that.
It's a lot of work, isn't it?
It's a lot
because
of work.
you know that feeling of being on that floor and how bad it felt, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then you know the feeling of the joy.
Oh, yeah.
But then you also know, man, something else could trigger you where you're back down on that deal again. And so you kind of thrive off of that. Let's pick the joy.
Right.
Let's find the joy. Let's do it. Let's get through this. But I also have heard, too, from the professional here, because I love,
right.
I tell everybody I'm the mental, she's the perk. You know? She's the one that keeps me in check, right? Because she's the professional. But tell them about not processing it, what it can do to you.
Oh, you may not know for a while because you'll keep it stuck in there and keep it stuck in there. And it's going to come out in the ugliest, darkest ways because you have to get it out. Right. And you were talking about earlier about just letting that festering inside. And, you know, that's not what you want for yourself. That's not... Right. It really can affect who you are and what you can be. And it can also affect all your relationships. Yeah. It can affect every aspect of your life if you don't get that out. Because anger is a normal emotion, right? And we all feel it. And it's actually a helpful emotion. It actually drives us to succeed. The problem with anger is when we don't deal with it. Yep. And it takes on a mind of its own. It does. And so that's really, you know, we talk about that, keeping all that in. You know, you talk a lot about the sparkle factor, and I want to get really into that because I want to know, you talked about having a sparkle when you were young, which kind of led you to being an entertainer, but then you went through these horrible things. How did you find your sparkle again? Oh,
such a good question. I would say choice, first and foremost. We've talked a lot about that today. Is this what I want to continue to choose for myself? If I don't have my own sparkle factor, if I'm not reclaiming that shine or that light, even in the midst of great darkness, is that what I want? Because at the end of the day, we show up every day for ourselves, and how we show up for ourselves, I think, is everything. So if I get up and say, today's crummy, guess what? The world and my brain will confirm that all day long, right?
You're right.
But if I get up and say, new day, I'm excited, I'm getting doggy sugars, like I've got all these awesome calls, like who knows what's going to happen today, again, my brain and the world will confirm that. And so for me, reclaiming my sparkle meant, okay, if I'm not on a stage, and if I am not married, and if my family dynamics have changed, and if everybody, you have fill in the blank for your own self, what does it mean now? What does it mean? So I think reclaiming my sparkle factor meant learning how to throw a pity party, also having a joy toolbox so that when I need a little bit of joy, I can pull something out. I've pre-planned for that, making sure that I have a tribe of people around me that I can call and say, we've got to watch Laverne and Shirley, and they don't ask me any questions at all. They just come over and we watch Laverne and Shirley. I mean, they know.
We need to be invited to Suzanne's house.
I'm pretty fun, I must say. You know, and so for me, I had to come up with what are the things that I need to really be in the world in a way that I want to be in the world. And if you haven't asked yourself that question and come up with your list, I think that everyone should do that, which is, what do I need to be in the world the way I want to be. And then create that for yourself, because no one's going to create that for you.
So give the audience an example. That's a big loaded, because I'd be sitting there for a good minute going, I don't know, what do I need to be? I get what you're saying, but how do you encourage someone? Because you say that instantly when you were saying that, I'm thinking, God, that list is going to be long. Because there's a lot. It might be, but when someone gets overwhelmed with that thought, how do you encourage them to go just one at a time? Just one thing at a time.
Sure. I definitely think overwhelm is an emotion and a state of being that a lot of people are feeling right now. Yeah. And so I think you have to decide, and I'm a big believer in deciding once. You don't remake a decision.
Okay.
Ever, because you're wasting your mental energy. So you decide, and if it doesn't go well, then you make a different decision, but you don't redecide once you've decided something. So if you're making your list of, let's say, I want to have a group of girlfriends that does brunch every quarter. I want to be able to watch Virgin River, every time
it is a good show. Oh my gosh.
I want to, take a fitness class. I want to have this successful metric in my business or life. When you figure out what those things are that make you rock and roll, then you literally have your list, and then you go, okay. What am I tackling? What do I have these things? If not, how do I create those things? What thing am I drawn to first? Because it might not be the biggest thing. It might be, I need to create space for myself to watch Virgin River, which for a lot of us may be a really big thing. If you don't have a lot of time to yourself, you're hiding in the bathroom from your kids because that's the only time you get to be by yourself.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
That's a huge thing for you.
Right.
But for other people, it's like, I'm driven by, a big goal in my business. Great. So that's why I can't say, it looks like this. I don't know what it looks like person to person, right?
Right.
But what I do know is you can't get overwhelmed by the process of it. All you have to do is, what next best step can I take right now? That's it.
Kind of brought up all the different things you've just said, and the joy toolbox and the puppy kisses and all those things. And when we're working with someone who's depressed, we talk a lot about reasons for living, right? Because that's what keeps them going on a day-to-day, minute-by-minute basis, right? You almost could have the same thing with the sparkle factor. What is your reason to sparkle,
I love
and so that's where you just listed a bunch of things. What does draw me to sparkle? What brings that sparkle out?
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to define that. So,
I love that. What's your sparkle?
Yeah. I had a show for a while, and at the end of every show, I would ask someone to define what the sparkle factor means to them. And the range of answers was incredible.
I bet.
Because for some people, it was like relationships.
Okay.
For some people, it was like, oh, I got the promotion that I've been working for 10 years. Or for other people, it was like, I showed up for myself today.
Nice.
Like and
simple,
so
but
simple,
real.
And there was never anything that was so complicated. Like, I won $1 million in the lottery ticket, and then I went and got a villa in Italy, and like that's the sparkle factor. Like, no one ever said those things.
Right.
It was really more being attuned to who you are internally and what that metric is for you. And so I think you're both doing that with this show.
Yeah.
I think the range of people you have on this show gives that kind of sparkle factor experience, because the stories of transformation that you're highlighting, but also how people are just showing up every single day, sometimes under really hard circumstances.
Oh, yeah.
And yet they make the choice to be like, okay, what's next? So, I'm on the bathroom floor. What's next? Phone for help.
Yeah.
Or put on ABBA, or, I'm going to stand up. Okay, I'm standing up. Now what? All right, maybe I need to go put my bare feet on the grass, because there's a lot of science about that, right? And what it does to you inside. Great. Now that I'm standing outside and I've got sunshine and my feet are on the grass, what's next? So it doesn't have to be as complicated, I think, as we make it.
And I love how you just did that, though. You articulated step by step for someone that may be overwhelmed, because when you suffer from depression,
yes,
or something else that's going on in your life, it can be so overwhelming just to stand up off the floor.
Yes.
And just to walk out into that yard.
That's right.
And I love how you just articulate it. It's very simple. It doesn't have to be hard.
But I think we want to overcomplicate everything. We
do.
want to make everything
humans,
big and
of course.
grand. We want to have the venti, not the tall, right, in the coffee shop. But I'm saying we want to make everything big and grand, but we forget that sometimes we just have to get back to the basics.
Oh, I think that's very true. And I am wondering about the ability for us to notice when we need to get back to the basics. So does it take a trauma? Does it take a job loss or something terrible happening to you to go, oh, I got way too far from my baseline? And I think for a lot of us, that's probably true.
I think you're right. I think
it's when I feel the sparkle going out, you know,
right.
I
There's
can
a
just,
reset
I just feel fatigued and tired and overwhelmed. And that's when you just start to see your sparkle starting to be a little less.
But being cognitive enough to know that sparkle's about to not sparkle anymore.
Yes. Or having a team of people that are trusted.
Yes.
That tell you, hey.
I mean, this girl, she'll tell you all day long.
Yeah,
Brandy.
I'm not one to hold back.
But I mean, that's an important, talk about deep friendships. That's a very important person in your life who knows that they might get a not great response from you.
Oh, she knows
but
that I'm
tell
not
you
good.
Anyway.
Yeah, she knows.
Right?
She's like, what's going on? I'm like,
I have someone that's like, you need to go take vacation.
You need to go take a nap.
Or that, right.
Vacation's better, though.
Well, Suzanne, I want to know a little bit more about your business, and you've done these amazing things. I mean, getting the Stevie Award, I don't know anything about that, but that sounds amazing.
That's a sweetener, isn't it?
And it's just like,
hilarious. Stevie. So the Stevie Awards are considered the Oscars of business. Nice. So when I was writing my acceptance speech, this particular award was only there was a Women in Business edition for this award. So it's 26 countries in the world that come together for this, and you're nominated and go through all the process and those sorts of things. And it was in November in New York City, and all these people are flying in from all over the world, and then you find out if you won. So they award the top 3, and I was 3rd from however many thousands or whatever. It's still amazing to me. And as I was writing my acceptance speech, and I took my daughter with me, and I told her, I said, I always thought I would win an Oscar, but here I'm winning a Stevie, and I don't know that it's any less.
No, it's not any less.
And because I had all this education and training to win an Oscar, I have no business training whatsoever. Gosh, please still hire me. But I think it is such a remarkable thing to say life didn't work out the way that I wanted it to, and I'm really glad for that. So I think the Stevie Award for me has meant that you don't have to have 100,000 views every single time you post something on social. You don't have to have 100,000 people on your email list. You don't have to have been on Oprah's show, but I would love to be. You don't have to.
Please call.
Right, call us. That is actually not true. And if you think that that's what it means to get recognized in whatever metric that is for you, then I think that's a false narrative, and that's a place that's not going to allow your sparkle to shine.
You're setting yourself up for disappointment.
All the time.
Yeah.
Right? And so the unexpected surprise of winning a Stevie was, wow, transformation is happening, and women's lives are being changed, and because their lives are being changed following my system, they're changing lives.
Love it.
And that's what I really want, is that ripple effect.
Yeah. I love that. Tell a little bit about your business. I think you're also doing a book, or you've done a book.
Oh, yeah. So thank you for that. Yeah. So it's Suzanne Castle Consulting, and my trademarked thing is the Sparkle Factor. So it's a process that I take women specifically through. A lot of them are solopreneurs, some are multipreneurs. So that's why I just say shepreneur. So we just encompass everyone there. And really all of them, I think, have lost the magic in their business. You know what I mean? Like, you get so excited to start this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Have your own schedule.
Yeah.
I'm doing my thing. It's great.
And then it gets so stressful, it burns you out sometimes.
Boom. Burnout, overwhelm. I don't know what to do next. It feels really hard. I don't know what happened.
A lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure. And so what I do is I do a lot of neuroscience training with creativity. And so how do you create a new neural pathway to make better strategic decisions so you can live the life you want, which was your reason for starting business anyway. So we make it about what's sustainable for your life and how does your business wrap around that. So that's what the Sparkle Factor course really does. And so through my company, we're helping, I'm a consultant for cities, but we help corporations and solopreneurs and multipreneurs really recapture that for themselves. And my 4th book is coming out in April, which is a collection of stories of people that have gone through the Sparkle Factor. Nice. And it tells you a little bit about their journey, where they were, what they've learned, and it's like a workbook. So every chapter has about this particular topic. Here are things to pay attention to. Here are questions to be asking yourself. So that it's not just this was a sweet story. This is a story that you can use. Like, what can I learn
Apply
from
it
this?
to your life. I love that.
Yes, I'm very excited by that. It's called the Sparkle Effect.
I love that. And you've also started a new podcast.
I have. And I know that the two of you are going to be on there.
Yes, we are. And we are going to sparkle, of course.
Yeah, it's called the Sparkle Sesh.
Yeah.
I love it. The Sparkle Sesh.
I'm very branded.
I love it.
Yes. Good job, team. So the Sparkle Sesh is a round table. So it's several voices around a topic. and it's like you're listening in to us at your favorite cafe, wine, juice box, coffee, whatever your drink of choice is.
Martinis.
Great. and we're just, chatting about whatever, resilience maybe, or visual branding or whatever it is. And everyone kind of has a different perspective of that. So you're just getting a glimpse from really amazing women that are in the world that you may or may not have heard of. So episode 1 dropped, and we had someone from Jamaica who's a branding and visibility strategist who's worked with the biggest companies on the planet. We had the president of the International Association of Women who comes at it from a whole different perspective of leadership and emboldening women with the Professional Diversity Network, and myself talking about what is it like? How do you make a bold choice? What's it like to be a woman leader right now? And it was truly a remarkable conversation. So I can't wait to have you both on there in your genius zones and meet some other amazing women.
Yeah. Oh, we love that.
That's awesome.
So what drives you to work with women? And tell us a little bit about some of the transformations you've seen in women over the years that you've been doing this.
What drives me to work with women? I was the person who had a male best friend, found way more comfort in men than women, because I found women to be very catty and stepping over each other, entertainment. So, you're always in competition with someone. And I was very lonesome. I don't want to deconstruct why my male friendships weren't all that I needed, because my very best friend, Chris Beckett, is still one of my very best friends. It's not that. But what I decided to do was we have to learn to do that differently.
Yeah.
We have to learn to collaborate, and we have to learn to help hold each other and cheer each other on.
Lift each other up.
Yes. And so that's actually began kind of the journey, and the reason that I really decided to focus primarily on women was, let me show you that there is a different way, and that you can sit in a room with women who truly want you to succeed.
And I love that part, because I think women think they have to compete against each other to win, rather than if I just encourage other women, I too will be encouraged.
Well, and I think a lot of that too, when women do that, it's because they're missing something from within themselves.
Oh, sure.
Whenever they're feeling like they have to compete to prove themselves to other people.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like you said, it's all about surrounding yourself around those women that are going to encourage you and lift you up. And there's times when, we've been in the room, you instantly know, okay, there's a bunch of Pams in here. I call them passive aggressive manipulators.
Yeah.
And they're everywhere.
Yep.
Right? Or we're going to be amongst people like you. I mean, girl, you walked in here, I could feel your energy. It's all about lifting other people up. And I don't know about you, but when I lift someone else up, it makes me feel better.
Exactly.
All day long.
Yeah.
That's it. But we haven't been taught that.
Yeah.
And I'm really on a mission to really help women see that differently.
Yeah.
So I think about my client, Julie, who came to my first, I do a live event every year, a 3-day event for women. And she came the first year and cried all 3 days. And I mean, cried, boohoo cried. And then decided to work with me, and, left a terrible relationship, left a terrible job, started her own business, is totally killing it. And she says, you just broke me open enough to say that there's light on the other side. I couldn't even see light, and I couldn't see what I wanted. No one had ever asked me the questions that you asked. So I think about her. But it doesn't have to be people that are totally dismantled either. I think about Christy, who left police force and is now a first responder trauma therapist. Using the skills that she always wanted to use but really couldn't find it, but found a niche. And she's my client. We work with her on how to best show up in those spaces, and how you let people know that you exist, and how do you not lose yourself in the process there. And so there are stories after stories after stories of these women, but what I will say that they all have in common is they made that choice to say, I'm going to choose myself for once and see what happens. And it's truly magical. It just makes every day worth living.
I think people, they don't want to admit that they're choosing themselves, because it might make them seem selfish or whatever. I mean, we
okay
put all these
selfish.
labels out there.
Yeah, we do.
But that's not the truth.
Right.
The truth is, choosing ourselves shows that we love ourselves, and we're able to love others when we love ourselves.
And it's okay to be selfish. I've heard therapists tell me all the time, it's all right to be selfish. You need to be selfish, because, we spend so much time as women, I think, in general.
Oh, yeah.
Catering and coddling everybody else, whether it's your kids or your nephews or your friends, whatever it is, and it kind of depletes that energy out of you sometimes. So you got to refuel for yourself.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm very lucky. So Prince Charming, I cook. I love to cook, and he cleans up. That's the way we do our world when he's home. And I sit there sometimes at the bar while he's cooking up and cleaning up, and we chit chat, we talk, we do all the things. And I'll say to him, hey, I can get up and help you. And he always looks at me and says, why? I didn't help you cook. I was doing my thing. You go do your thing.
Yeah.
Go outside with the dogs. Go hang out. You can sit here and talk to me, whatever you want to do. And I know that I need that permission still to this day. And I'd love to teach women how to accept that, because I think that's the other part of it.
That's it right there.
Right, is accept that, no, I don't have to get up and do. Someone has told me it's okay. You need to believe them when they tell you it's okay, because I don't know about y'all, but that's hard. That belief piece is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm really trying to incorporate that more in my life right now. I've really just embraced after the kids leave and you move on, and, you know, even like just resetting the relationship with your spouse, you know, it's just, there's just so much to that. And being able to finally just take that deep breath and say, it's okay to think about me. It's okay to think about me and do for me.
I think we get so lost. We've been so lost thinking about our kids so much and our family that you just kind of lose who you are.
Right.
And it's like you said, man, and it's a good reset though.
It is.
But that interim time can be a little hard, because you're like, what am I going to do? Your kids kind of define you a little, right?
Yeah, but I would have loved to have known all this back then, because
me too.
It would have been a great example for my kids.
So all you younger women out there, please listen to this. Please. You'll save yourself a lot of things.
And isn't it great that we have podcasts now?
Yeah.
Because, you know,
I love that.
We can access so many different kinds of information that we didn't have at the ready. You know, when we were growing up, it just wasn't there. I mean, you couldn't go to the card catalog and pull out a card that says, here's how to
the card catalog.
You
know,
that's
a lot of Google carding,
Microfiche.
Yes.
Well, we can age ourselves there. It's okay. Well, these are such great strategies that you're teaching. And I know you do that through your keynote speaking. You do that through your classes. Tell people where they can find out more about you, where they can learn about what you're offering. Because I know there's so many women out there looking to find themselves and how to take on those next stages of life. And so where can they find that information, and where can they touch base with you?
Well, I think the best way is always on my website, which is SuzanneCastle.com. It's castle like a princess. So because on there you can connect with me socially if you're into social platforms, my podcast, my shows, things like that. But there's always a goodie. I call them goodie gumdrops. There's always a goodie gumdrop on my site. So it changes frequently when you go there. Like right now, I think it is a self-care planner, a 31-page guide to just help you create your own specific sustainable self-care plan.
I love that.
And so I'm always saying go there first instead of Facebook or this, that, or the other, because there's a goodie gumdrop for you when you go and visit my website. But that's the best place to find out all the things.
That's amazing. Suzanne, it has been incredible having you on our show. We have learned so much from you, and we love your energy, your sparkle, your shine, everything about that, and the amazing job you're doing encouraging women.
Yes.
Thank you both for this show.
Thank you.
The episodes are incredible, and I
much.
just can't wait to see all the other lives that are going to be changed from this show.
Thank you.
for having me.
Thank you so much. If you or anyone you know is struggling with mental health issues, please reach out to talk to someone you trust. Get connected to a mental health professional who can help you find ways to cope and ultimately feel better. If you are having suicidal or self-harm thoughts or thoughts of hurting another person, please go to the nearest ER, call 911, or contact the National Suicide Hotline at 988. Thank you for tuning in to Mental Perk. We hope our talk today highlighted real people working through real issues based on mental health. Our goal at Mental Perk is to make sure every one of you knows you're worthy. We're in this together.